Bonjour, hi, and welcome to The Cup, the currently unnamed podcast where the tea is piping hot and we're always ready to spill. I'm Eris Envy, your punk rock hairy fairy, reminding you to drink your protein. It's good for you.
And I am Sam D&B, also known as Sam de Monteverde, also known as Anissa Long, your fellow-friendly trans, non-binary, Filipino-Canadian, mentally unstable hot mess hailing all the way from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, or Scarborough if you want to be more specific. And today I got some honey lemon tea, just lemon tea, because detox.
Detox.
Detox!
Actually, I have a fun anecdote. Whenever me and my sister have an argument, or like we say, you didn't say thank you, we now have a habit of saying, thank you, detox, thank you, to each other loudly.
I love that.
Like, what is that about?
It's probably like the same like dynamic between like Detox and their sister as well.
Probably.
And I love that. I love every bit of that.
Oh, I nearly broke my blinds. We're off to a good start today, kids.
We're off to a great start.
It's time for episode 6 of Drag Race France.
Yes.
Not the
sometimes. So as you see, it is a bit different. Logan is not here with us, but we're
fighting for our lives right now. But we
are fighting for our lives. But you know, all the love towards Logan. Obviously, you can see how important Logan is to the cup.
Who did we lose last week? I'm trying to recall.
Okay, so we walk into the workroom and Ellipse is gone.
There we go, Ellipse. So we lost Ellipse last week, which I'm still sad about.
I'm still very sad about that too. And I think everyone in that workroom was also very sad about that.
Yeah. It seemed like there was a lot of love towards Ellipse, especially towards the end of Ellipse's run on Drag Race. And it still doesn't sit right with me. It's not right, but it is okay.
It's not right, but it's meh.
So we come back to the workroom the following morning, and the mini challenge is
puppets.
There we go, puppets. Marionettes.
Des marionnettes en français.
Which is great because we haven't had puppets in a long while.
It's been a long while. Yeah.
We get it with UK every now and then. We had it with España.
But that was a mess.
A disaster piece. I'm gonna be honest, France was not that much better. But I will say, who had Big Bertha's puppet? I'm trying to remember. Oh, Paloma. Paloma did a fantastic job. Paloma really let Bertha have it.
Oh yeah. No, but I think what kind of made it better, slightly better, like over like España in comparison, was just the puppets themselves. They really had Le Grande Dame
with the long legs. I was like,
legs. And for some reason, Soa de Muse has a mermaid tail.
That just tells me they could not find another puppet, and they're like, "Oh, well, this one's black, so we'll use it for Soa."
Right. But
Thank you, Drag Race France production. That was very, very helpful of you, Drag Race France.
Very helpful. I also love that Big Bertha was wearing the exact same outfit as her puppet.
I love her, but why is she always dressed like she works in like a grease pit? Like she looks like she works in a garage.
Honestly, no, she actually is dressed like a pit crew member, like an actual
pit crew member.
An actual pit crew member, not what we see on Drag Race.
Bertha, stop trying to make boiler suits happen. They're not gonna happen.
They're never gonna happen. No, her outfit makes me think of the show called like The Imagination Movers. I'm not sure if you.
I don't think we had that in the UK. No,
it definitely wasn't in the UK. It might have been in America, but I definitely watched like an episode or two as a Canadian. It was one of those shows that I would watch when there was nothing on as a little kid.
When you're home from kindergarten or whatever for the day because you're sick or whatever, and it's just something that's on kids' TV at 1:00.
Exactly. Actually, it's more so like 2:30. But literally, Big Bertha has the exact same outfit. She just needs her name like on her chest.
So we find out the winner of the mini challenge is Paloma. Staring into space for a second there.
Yeah. I mean, I'll agree with you and say, we've mentioned this like a couple times now. It was lackluster.
It wasn't the best puppet show, however, I will say Paloma was. So she was good.
She
There
did
was
do good.
a couple who were serviceable. There was Lolita, and there was also Bertha. Yeah, it was sehr interessant. That was supposed to be German, and I somehow managed to do it in a French accent unintentionally.
Intéressant.
I meant to say sehr interessant.
Intéressant.
Yeah, because in German it's sehr, which is SHR for very.
Très intéressant. Oh, in French. Yes. Canadian,
So because Paloma won the mini challenge, she gets to choose everyone's boxes. Oh well, sorry. Nikki Doll comes into the room. Nikki Doll has been in the room for a while at this point, but Nikki Doll tells us we're having a perfume challenge, which is a challenge we haven't seen on Drag Race since season 5.
Season 5.
Yep.
We'll talk about it later, but I had higher expectations and I was just kind of disappointed. Just the concept of the challenge itself. It wasn't necessarily like the perfume challenge.
Yeah, I was expecting more. I was
expecting
more
them
so
to actually make their own perfume.
Yeah, it was more so this box is your brand, work with it.
Yeah.
So speaking of boxes, Paloma gets to assign the boxes. So the Big Bertha gets assigned the iridescent box, La Grande Dame gets the black box, Soa de Muse gets a bamboo box, and Lolita gets the pink box, and Paloma keeps the red box for herself.
Yes.
So everyone takes the boxes and starts to open them.
They all open it like one by one. And
immediately, the Big Bertha is like, oh, this box is full of ugly stuff. And rainbow flags, but ugly stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, she got assigned the JoJo Siwa of boxes, apparently. I did find that Lolita and Bertha's boxes were like incredibly similar though in terms of what they had inside.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later as well, but I would definitely say Lolita made like solid use of her box.
Honestly, she used absolutely every prop she could get her hands on.
So, compared to like Big Bertha, where we didn't get to see much of that.
Yeah.
Whatever was iridescent, but we did get to see like some rainbows. If anything, Paloma was serving more rainbows than Bertha,
which is unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
La Grande Dame opens her box and she's like, "Ooh, it all looks like BDSM gear." And she gets more into it and she realizes, oh, it's not really that way. It's just all pointy and spiky.
Leather.
We also they get their perfume bottles like pre-selected for them. And this is what I kind of didn't like about the challenge, is I was expecting them to like design and create their own perfume and then get to do like the whole video challenge. Instead, it was more of a branding challenges, but the brand was assigned to them randomly.
Yeah. I think it was just like this is what we're giving you, make do with it and try your branding yourself with it.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because I feel like had they been allowed to design their own perfumes from scratch, I think La Grande Dame probably would have done a lot better and Bertha probably would have done a lot better.
Absolutely.
And we might have ended up with a completely different bottom two, top two, and all that.
But we move. So where do we start? Oh, yes, we get to La Grande Dame. Actually, I think that should be a good time for this part one.
Oh yeah, that.
We're doing great, guys. First we get La Grande Dame. So I guess like we're just gonna talk about like their run through with it and then the actual commercial itself.
Yes. So La Grande Dame was beating herself up this episode for whatever reason. She just seemed kind of she previously she'd been told by Kitty Smiled that she needed to listen to instructions better, and she was kind of up in her head about that from what I've gleaned watching this.
Right.
Um, she took this in such a weird direction, a funny direction even. But I'll jump in and say this now. Nikki Doll did a really good job as the host of this episode because she seemed like she actually wanted everyone to succeed, and she went around helping and actually giving good advice. And Le
Mhm.
Grand Dame was someone she was really helpful with this week. It's not like the RuPaul of all, where RuPaul will go, "Oh, you're doing that character you're really confident for Snatch Game. Here's a reference I understand that I think you should do that I know you'll be terrible at, so we can send you home." Theresa May.
Good God. Huh. Back to Nikki Doll. Just Nikki Doll, if you're watching this, thank you for being an amazing host. Thank you for being you, and thank you. Yeah, just thank you for being
A
the
show
moment.
of Queen.
Yes, honestly, the show of Queen. Rue could never.
Rue could never. Fred Van Leer could never. There are many people who could never. Paulo Balestra.
Ballesteros.
There we go. That bitch from Drag Race Philippines could never. But yeah, Le Grand Dame took this in a funny direction, and it wasn't funny haha, it was funny
It was
weird.
funny weird, yeah.
Yeah.
I did notice though, like I think one of the moments that kind of stood out to me, like with this, was just there wasn't much of that in the run through. At least there wasn't much of that perfume like being
Yeah.
and
it's just
in that commercial, like we couldn't even actually see the actual bottle. We just saw like the pship, like the spraying of it, and it completely covered like the
yeah,
the
it
perfume
wasn't
bottle.
really about the perfume as much as it was about her being like, I am a manly woman, I am the modern woman. Ho ho. It was all a bit strange, and I'm gonna say I'm shocked she wasn't in the bottom two.
I'm gonna say the same. Like the judging to me was kind of questionable, specifically around the Grande Dame.
As it's been all season, honestly.
As it's been a season, yeah.
Yeah. But let's move on.
Let's move on. Next up we have La Big Bertha,
La Big Bertha.
Cliche by Marais.
So she was giving us everyone at every bachelorette at a bachelorette party ever. Her story was like something about, oh, this is her 17th wedding and she's planning another bachelorette
Yeah.
party, so she's gonna go to a gay beach and be a nuisance.
Yeah, so she kind of went almost a similar route as like La Grande Dame, where it's, I'm gonna play a character
Yeah.
I feel like could make the judges laugh, and if I make the judges laugh at the end of the day, then that's cool.
It wasn't about the perfume though, it was about her being a Karen, which is why she didn't do well.
Yeah.
And I'm very familiar with this type of woman, having worked in drag for 4 years. Literally, the last show I did, a woman nearly climbed on top of me, which was really great.
Which, okay, sorry, we're gonna take a quick moment over here, and say, please respect the spaces of all the queens that are performing on stage. It is not your spotlight to have; it is for them.
And to the woman at Vicky Vaults who tried to climb on stage with me, if when you twerk, your ass moves like curdled milk, maybe twerking isn't for you.
Nah, you can take out the maybe. Twerking isn't for you.
No.
Yeah.
Things haven't been the same for her since the hip replacement.
Oh, that's tea.
Anyways, back to Cliche.
Back to Cliche by Marais.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know, drag queens making a joke about this kind of woman. It doesn't always sit well for me because even though I know this kind of woman to be an absolute terror, it's still in the back of my mind is a little bit uncomfortably misogynistic because I know gay men can be that way as well.
Right.
Not saying that Big Bertha was going into this with the intention of being misogynistic or what she did was misogynistic. I just think it's a done joke and it's done to death.
I
And
agree.
I didn't get the perfume branding of it all.
I
Honestly,
agree.
this was hardly a branding challenge. It was more of a comedy acting challenge from the way everyone acted in it.
Yeah. She had an idea. I don't think it was the best idea, but even then the idea got lost.
And what got me as well is at the beginning of this challenge, I believe it was Grande Dame who said, "Oh, we've hit all the big milestones. We've done Snatch Game. We've done the girl groups. We've done the talent show. There's no
From the
main
ball.
challenges left."
Yeah.
But they hadn't done a branding challenge, so it's like, that's where they're going with this.
Yeah. I think
And then it wasn't a branding challenge.
now it's like people are looking at that now as like a main challenge, as like one of the staples, because since after like season 5, shortly after season 5, there weren't like that many until like,
because the early seasons of Drag Race there was a lot of branding challenges, and then there was kind of a gap between.
That's true.
I want to say like 7 and All Stars 3. There wasn't a lot, and then after All Stars 3, I think branding challenges came back in a big way. No, All Stars 2 actually.
I don't remember anything from season 9. I don't remember anything from season 10 in terms of branding.
Well, that sounds like a you problem.
It probably is, because I really don't remember the branding.
I haven't watched those seasons in a while, so I couldn't tell you either.
OT.
But
Okay.
chugging along, next up is Lolita.
Lolita Coquin.
I thought this was funny. This made me laugh.
I actually thought this made me laugh as well. Even just the name of it, Lolita Coquin, oddly sounds like Lolita Cocaine. Like, whether in English and in Spanish, like I was waiting for the at the end of Coquin. Like, I was like, Lolita Coquina? Cocaina? Hello? You're making a perfume with coke?
And this was just such and like it was funny to me. Like she was funny. I mean, granted, it's an odd choice for a perfume brand, but she was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna be this teenage girl." So when she was explaining it to Nikki, she was like, "Oh, I'm this teenage girl, but I like to sing, but also I smell bad, and my friends don't want to play with me, but I want to have a slumber party." She did like a really weird job of explaining it, but when the advert actually played out, I really got it, and I thought it was funny.
I thought the ad was actually really good too. Again, questionable judging.
Yeah. She also got sort of a JoJo Siwa box where it's just all things you want for an 80s dance party for your 12-year-old daughter.
The thing is, she knew how to make it work. Lolita knew how to make it work.
Yeah, Lolita made it work. Bertha just threw what she could together and panicked.
Yeah. I really love the commercial.
I did too.
Dare I say, like, this was Lolita should not have been in the bottom for me.
No, and maybe it's not as funny as in French.
Maybe.
If any of our viewers have any opinions down below, we love hearing from you, so please let us know. But this wasn't this was really funny to me.
I really like.
But then again, we'll get into the runways because
we'll
I'm
get
sure
into the runways later.
Had some choice words to say. Anyways, next, Soa de Muse.
Cunha.
We're not gonna get demonetized for saying that, are we?
I really hope not. Okay, so that is the name of Soa de Muse's perfume. I actually really love this route of.
I loved her advert. I thought she did great.
I thought she did great too, and I love that she put the focus on like Black excellence.
Yes,
like that part actually really moved me.
With the afro wig, she looked good.
She looked,
and really I love that she got like the pit crew member to like kneel before her, and then she sprayed it on. I also love that she reused her blazer from her entrance look. If you noticed,
yes, she did. I did notice that. No,
Ooh, God,
I
sorry,
thought
it's
this
late here in the UK.
when she had the couch, I totally swore I thought it was gonna be another Ru Animal moment. But
Ruanima
I love that
by Soa.
she by Coco.
It's the exotic, wild essence of a woman. I'm sorry, the season 5 branding challenge was so good. That's what I
It was
wanted this
so
to
good.
be.
Yeah. Ivy Winters, Rob. I know she's retired drag now, but
Dress Code by Ivy Winters for the glamorous girl on the go.
oh.
Not only does it change your scent, it changes your style. I
It's
can
the fact
recite that entire challenge off the top of my head.
it's the fact that it was originally called Poison Rosebud.
Poison Rosebud.
And then they were like, you should change that because it sounds like an asshole. Like literally Rosebud asshole.
Foul.
Foul.
Oh, but my favorite from that is Heroin.
My favorite is either heroin or delusion.
Delusions. Convince
Convince
yourself.
yourself.
But yeah, Soa did really great, and she kind of was on the struggle bus in the actual filming part of it, or at least that's how I perceived it, at least. And I was like, oh, they're setting up Soa to send someone home, and I was willing to bet that they were going to set Soa and Bertha up to lip sync against each other,
Right.
or we were going to have Soa send Lolita home, because
Yeah.
I had a hunch at the beginning of this episode this was going to be Lolita's episode, which it wasn't, but we'll get into that. It was just she did a good fucking job.
I thought she did a great job too. Like it really came together at the end, and for me, it was very fun to watch. And it's memorable. It's very memorable to me.
And moving on up, Paloma
With Arnake, I think. Arnak?
I'm not going to try and pronounce that because I don't want our French viewers to hate me. And by that I mean I cannot. The Yorkshire accent is just not built to pronounce French. And I'm very glad I took German lessons in high school because I know our French teacher in the classroom next door was fighting for her life trying to teach 30 odd Yorkshire kids how to speak French.
And she's teaching with a York accent too?
No, our French teacher was actually French. This is also a thing. I've been meaning to bring this up. I have never met anyone in the entire of England who has ever had a French teacher that was not a middle-aged white woman that was also not completely evil. Like, I'm just convinced all the French teachers in England are some kind of insane. And the thing about that is the majority of them are probably English themselves. So what is it that drives English women to learn French to become supervillains? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to look back at the French teachers I've had as well. And very much all I can remember from that, they were all white women, middle aged. Not middle aged, somewhere between 30 and 60.
Old. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
I
long.
remember that our French teacher famously swore at a student and told him to fuck off. And you know what? Because of the student it was, I have to agree with her. But on to Paloma.
Paloma.
speaking of white women in their 30s, Paloma.
She brought back the champagne and the martini glass.
Yes, and I love this dress and I love the hair. It was, for me, Paloma's Paloma's commercial didn't really stick in my mind, and I'm having a hard time remembering what she actually did.
I remember her talking about how how that glass has always been with her.
Yeah, it was a bit of an odd. It wasn't Paloma's finest hour, I'll say that.
It wasn't.
And also, I was kind of, for the entire time she had this ginger beehive on, I just kept noticing the lace that's all the way back here because you can see where it goes grey, where her hair underneath is visible under the lace.
Yeah.
It's Yeah. I don't know if you have any insight on the Haute perfume commercial,
I
because if
mean,
I'm really real, I don't
so
remember it.
I'm okay. So a little behind the scenes action from my end. Sometimes whenever we record these episodes, I'll have the episode itself like running at a very low volume so that we don't get taken down for copyright. Um, but I just remember Paloma not being the best with time management.
Yes, Paloma took all the way until like
Like
the
we had,
very last second.
yeah, we had literally at
However,
3 to 1. Finally, Paloma sprays herself with this
I
supposed perfume.
I will say I did appreciate learning this episode about. I mean, we had already known that Paloma was very into cinema because she makes quite a few references to it. But it was nice
Mhm.
to learn that she works as a director and that she's a filmmaker. Because
Oh, yes.
speaking of fabulous skinny drag queens who are also filmmakers, except I'm not skinny, I'm more of a somewhere between dad bod and muscular, and I don't do filmmaking anymore because I hate it. If you want a good way to waste £9,000, go to university for film. 3 years and a pandemic later, and what am I doing for work? I'm a teaching assistant. Wow.
Yep, that's pretty much the Panda Express of it all.
The Panda Express of it all.
Yeah, I can remember much from Paloma's commercial, honestly.
No, me neither. So they come back into the workroom after the they come back into the workroom after on the day of
Shooting their,
elimination,
yes,
and they push in a trolley with makeup on it, and they're pretending to be air hostesses,
yeah.
which was super funny to me because all they were saying to each other is, "Sorry, we only have orange juice or apple juice." I don't know what it was, but it did
It was
make me
orange
laugh quite
juice.
a
It was
bit.
orange juice.
Yeah, I did have a good giggle about it. And then they're getting ready, and we found out that fucking hell, my accent came through thick just then. We found out that La Big Bertha is actually a cancer survivor. She's in remission, but we get the story of how La Big Bertha became a full-time drag performer after surviving cancer, or while she was going through chemo, and she arranged her dates around her shows, literally, because that's what drag meant to her. And
Hmm.
it's a tough conversation, but it's beautiful to see, the solidarity between La Big Bertha surviving with cancer and Lolita who's surviving with HIV.
Hmm. Honestly, just know that we stand with you. Um, and we are very proud of y'all for sharing your stories.
Mhm.
Big Bertha and Lolita.
But
But
it
also
is. Oh, sorry, Sam.
anyone else that is also opening up with these stories. We are
Mhm.
very proud of you.
And it was an interesting conversation around what it's like to work as a drag performer in France, because
Yeah.
it seems very, very few of them are able to do it full time. Now, I
Hmm.
would say, even though I personally don't know anyone who works full time in drag, it is a lot more possible in the UK because the culture surrounding drag, because drag is acceptable entertainment for straight people in the UK. Therefore, it's more palatable. Therefore, you can get more gigs. You can work down the local pub in drag in the UK.
Yeah. And I've noticed that even with like the Western Hemispherian world as well, the West world, where
Love that show.
the drag is also a lot more accepted by um a, a huge range of people, a bigger range
Mm.
of people than say like Asia, like Southeast Asian. Although there could be like some exceptions, not that I
Mm.
personally would know of. But I know, especially in a city like Toronto, um, it is so like diverse where there's literally everyone from every single walk of life. Um, and just I know a good amount of I know like out a handful of queens that are pursuing drag full time, and I love them for that. And they're doing pretty well for
I
themselves.
believe for a short while, one drag performer in York was trying to go full time in drag. This was when the shows were for a very brief while weekly, and this person I'm referring to lives with their partner, and their partner has a very well paying job. So I imagine would have been kind of easy for them to just but be able to be a full time drag performer. But when our shows got downgraded to only twice a month, they kind of pat that in, which is unfortunate. I'd love for everyone in York to be able to work in drag full time.
Yeah.
So I just had a stroke and no one did anything. But we found out our guest judges for this week are. I'm gonna have to Google because I've forgotten their names.
I know the woman. I forgot the man.
I am gonna go look on the wiki here.
Okay.
But please tell us about.
So this was a gag for me because I ended up like so they revealed that Yasul was gonna be a guest judge for this episode. I literally paused it and like searched up who Yasul was because I had an idea of I thought I had an idea of like who this person could be. Hi, Logan.
Hello.
Oh, thank God, save us.
Oh no.
We've been doing our best.
We've been doing our best.
I believe
Everyone, the show just became watchable.
Wait, what?
The show just became watchable.
Oh, whatever. It's very watchable without me. But I came at the right time because Nikki looks great.
Nikki looks great. And
we were just
Alexandre,
saying we literally forgot who this guy is.
Alexandre Mathieu.
Oh, the hot one? He's some designer.
Alexandre Mathieu.
Yeah, he's some like apparently like I'm gonna assume like probably a haute couture designer. I don't know.
Haute couture. Couture.
Truly that.
Nikki looks
I kind of
great.
only want to talk about Isolde, if I'm being honest.
I love Yasul.
I am not agree.
It's a no. I'm not agree.
I loved her. Truly, like if they added her to the judging panel permanently, I wouldn't be mad.
I would be so happy because just she has that energy similar to like I get it similarly like a Nicole Byer energy. Or like
I was thinking like the fabulous Black women that should be rotated on the judging panel of Drag Race US. Absolutely. But yeah, Kitty Smile looks amazing. Not that Daphne doesn't, but Kitty looks great.
Daphne's giving me classic Mugler references, which I love.
Yes.
But everyone shut the fuck up. Nikki Doll looks amazing.
This is maybe my favorite Nikki look of the season.
I love the ponytail.
The ponytail is what
I love this hair.
I want her to argue with me and turn away very dramatically and slap me in the face with this ponytail.
Yes.
I would love that too. Yes.
Oh, and I'll save my comments on the challenge performances for the very end because I have thoughts.
Oh, good, because we've already covered the challenge.
I figured because I know where we are in the slideshow because I made it.
Once again, proving that Logan is hauling this entire fucking team.
No, I just do all of the work. I don't do everything. I don't provide most of the personality.
Just all the menial labor.
Anyway.
God.
Runway.
So the category, in case you missed it, is Haute Couture.
What the fuck is this?
Party.
Yeah, that's it.
Where's the slide that says Haute Couture?
The very first one.
Yeah.
Diva, I'm not finding that.
You can literally just...
No, I can't. I don't have my mouse plugged in to plug my light in.
Oh.
That's a you problem.
Yeah, I put it on the first slide. I didn't do like a buffer slide because I forgot.
That's fine.
Oh.
There we go.
There we go.
Category
Is Haute Couture, which has to be a season. This gives me like season 2 runway themes. It's
no,
like
this gives me like I just rewatched a bit of season 12, and like this gives me like category is sparkle. Like, what the fuck do you mean?
This is why I like Drag Race Canada, because Drag Race Canada will be like, your theme this week is to dress up like a mythological creature from the depths of Lake Erie.
We haven't talked about this week, but the category was just sleeves, but go on.
And everyone did it flawlessly.
At least, like, that is like, you know, I'm featuring this part kind of thing, compared to like just sparkle.
Whereas Drag Race US is like glimmer, gold, apples. I miss when Drag Race US themes used to be difficult. Anyway, that being said, let's take a look at some of these lurks. Hunties.
Lurks.
So first up, we have La Grande
Dame.
I'd
like y'all to start.
La Grande Dame in all black and in a gown. Ooh.
Again.
Groundbreaking. Listen, it's a nice gown. It's a lovely gown, but we've seen a lot of this from La Grande Dame. And I love the headpiece. I'm bored.
Same.
And I feel like the conversations about versatility that were had with Ellipse needed to be had with La Grande Dame.
Yep. I think that is a production thing. I'm very certain that's a production thing, given the judging, especially revolving around La Grande Dame.
I have thoughts, feelings, and opinions. Sorry to interject real quick. I have thoughts, feelings, and opinions. I don't want to talk about them until we talk about who was eliminated. Yeah. So I'm just going to say that. Like, I have most of my thoughts.
Because,
we'll
get into it, but it was... But yeah, my thing with La Grande Dame is I had this same problem with Sharon, where they pushed Sharon too much, and they were like trying to make her the focal point too much. I enjoy La Grande Dame as the narrator of the season. I enjoy her talking heads. She gives good runways, but it feels like they're afraid to give her too many critiques, and they're afraid to put her in the bottom.
It's not necessarily the Aquaria effect, but like there is always special treatment. Almost always. I'll say almost always. There's almost always special treatment for the, I'm going to say, white skinny fashion girl.
Skinny young fashion girl.
If you do really want to get into it, I imagine Cornbread probably would have gotten this treatment had Cornbread not rolled her ankle, because Cornbread specifically had a contract saying, you're in the top 4, sis, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That being said, you are right. It does predominantly happen to production favorites, and production favorites tend to be the queens with the most followers, which in our society tends to be makeup twinks.
White, skinny young fashion queens. And that, honestly, I look now at like La Grande Dame, the character on Drag Race France, separately than I look at La Grande Dame, the drag queen, because I love La Grande Dame.
Agreed.
I think she's so funny. She's so entertaining. I really like her drag. I hate the way that she's been characterized by the production of the show.
Agreed.
Because, like, I'm just going to say this right now. La Grande Dame should have been in the bottom 2 this week.
Oh, fully. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this now. If La Grande Dame gets to the final 3 and wins, I won't be okay with it. Because she's had a fairly good run on the season, but I don't think she should win.
I think I know who's going to win the season, and we'll talk about it.
I would be okay with it being that person, if we're on about the same person.
I think we are. With that being said about the look specifically, it's a black, like you said, Eris, it's a black gown. We've seen this before. I think of the black gowns that or like dark gowns that she has given this season, I think this is my favorite. I think this like there's like the structure little peplum section I think is really, really good. I like the fabrics that were used. I don't understand the hair hat, but I think that's just something I'm not going to understand. I I don't dislike it, but I don't love it.
Mm-hmm. I don't
So-
necessarily love it either. I don't know. It feels like I feel something off is specifically like where you can see the corset / bustier kind of transition, quote unquote transitioning. It's not really a transition
Honestly,
into
a lot of what we've gotten from La Grande Dame, I'm just looking through her wiki page now for her Drag Race wiki page. A lot of everything she has worn has been either black or white.
Yeah.
The only exception really being the condom dress and the
And
Festival
like,
of
if
Femme.
that's your
Yeah.
aesthetic, cool. I'm not mad at it. But like for Drag Race, I just want to see a little bit more versatility.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she's had some great looks, but you know,
The Britney look, the giant fucking
yeah.
like tool situation, like that was really cool.
That being said, my cup's at like a 70.
my cup is also at a 70. Yeah.
I'm gonna give her a 75 because this is my favorite of the black gowns. I don't remember what I've given any of her black gowns in the past.
My personal favorite is the one where she duck walked and she had
Yeah.
the biggest hat.
The Britney one. That's the one I'm talking about.
Oh,
Where she had
okay.
a duck walk under the like thing. Yeah, that's the one I'm
Do you
talking
know
about.
how tall she actually is?
6'6", I believe.
Oh, I thought she was 6'5", but yeah.
It's somewhere between 6'4" and 6'6". I looked it up one time and I don't remember. But I'll give her a 75. I don't remember what I've given her other looks, but I this is my favorite of the black gowns, excluding the Britney look. This is my favorite of the black gowns that she has given this season.
Okay. Yeah.
Next,
Up next, we have La Big
Big
Bertha.
Bertha.
I love this concept.
Agreed.
Agreed.
I think the idea of a size 4 dress in this caftan is really fun. The only thing I wish, and I think Iseult is the one that mentioned it, I just want the fabric to be a sheerer fabric. And I understand if like she didn't have access to a fabric that was sheerer, or if she didn't feel comfortable enough. She talks a lot about body positivity and shows off her body a lot. It's probably more so the former of the two things. But yeah, I really, really I like this.
I really love this as well. But I will agree with what Iseult said, and
I do enjoy
I don't think
it.
that's a Bertha problem. I think that's kind of like whoever made it.
A logistics problem, probably.
Probably.
I also do enjoy this story of this because we do have a problem within the fashion industry where models are ridiculously thin. No one, I don't know a single person who is actually a size 4.
I do.
Bitch, fuck her.
But
Okay.
she's also like 19.
Oh.
So,
Ew.
like, I don't know people our age
And
that are
I
a size
do-
4.
I believe this to be true. I remember reading this, and to our lovely viewers in France, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there is actually like a legal limit on how skinny models can be in France because it's promoting eating disorders. And some people are naturally very lithe and very skinny.
Yeah.
But so many young women specifically chase after the supermodel figure that is completely unobtainable.
Yeah.
I think that's why I want to give a very like huge and special shout out to the lovely Ashley Graham.
Yes.
Who is all about that body positivity and teaching us that you can work with whatever body you have, regardless of the size.
I love Ashley.
I'm going to say my cup's at an 80.
I'm going to say my cup's at an 80. Yeah.
I'm going to say 85. Because I think
Boom.
the construction of the caftan itself just brings it up a little bit for me.
Oh, yeah. It's very well constructed.
The hair confused me.
Yeah, it was a choice.
It was a choice.
It
I
seemed
know people that really liked it. I'm not one of those people necessarily, but I don't think it detracts away from the look that much.
Yeah. It kind of gives almost the blonde version of like the hair that the singular braid that she wore in the when she wore all the garbage bags.
Yeah.
It's the same concept, but in
Well,
blonde,
it's
I
the
think.
same hair, but she just washed the dye out of it for this.
Yeah.
Anyways,
She still looks good.
agreed.
Mhm.
Next up is Lolita Banana.
I wanna love this so much.
Same.
I like it.
I like it.
Like it.
Go ahead, Eris.
My only thing is with this runway specifically being haute couture, this reads slightly more costume, and that's not a bad thing because I think this is a great look.
Mm-hmm.
However, I just knew the judges were going to shit on her the moment I saw this, and I knew they were going to tell her this is a costume. This isn't couture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like if you get the stills from Ivy Winters and then you kind of get that concept that Valentina wore in All Stars 4. If you remember her like very like deconstructed drag look.
I was gonna actually say because I forgot about that reference. I was gonna say Akira's All Star 6 look.
Oh, the face kini.
The face kini, yeah. I think what detracts it for me is the chaps. I think that's what like brings it out of haute couture for me. Because I like the stilts. Obviously, we haven't seen stilts since Ivy Winters. And that look was the category for that, I believe, was like signature drag.
Yeah, it was best drag.
And so remember the early seasons when the categories were like signature drag, best drag, bring
favorite
your
body part,
glamorous drag. Like it was just like wear whatever you want on any given week. Like it
was like basically. Beautiful gowns, lovely gowns.
Quite literally. But the concept of this, I love. Like this is something I don't think I've ever seen on Drag Race.
Mm-hmm.
Like the headpiece itself, the fact that she was able to walk on stilts with this headpiece is impressive in itself.
Could you imagine the Grande Dame on those stilts?
She literally would not physically be able to. They would have to cut the stilts.
The crane shot would just be looking down from the very top of the studio.
The photo that they take would literally just be like tits down. They like, wouldn't even be able to get a photo.
Wait, yep. Yeah, you're right.
Like,
so, for Mademoiselle Lolita Banana, I'm gonna say this is a 70 for me.
I'm gonna say this is close. Yeah, 70.
I love like if I was ignoring the category, this would be like an 80. But because I have to remember the category, I'm gonna give it a 70 as
well. Boo.
Didn't you give it a 70?
Yeah.
Then shut up.
You fucking bitch. Next up is Soa de Muse. This is haute couture.
This bitch.
Whore.
This is haute couture.
It's giving me That's So the Raven by Edgar Allan Poe.
Honestly,
that was funny. Fuck off.
No, what would have made it funnier is if you had said That's So the Raven by
Edgar Allan Poe.
Raven.
That's what I fucking
Allen
said.
Tuck. I'm
No,
trying to include
wait.
her name in Edgar Allan Poe.
Right.
Anyway,
Edgar Allan Simone.
Edgar Allan Simone. There
Boom,
it is.
boom.
There it is.
Boom Boom the third. Like, okay, here's the thing though. Is this a black dress? Yes. But we haven't seen this from Soa. I don't think.
The closest thing I could think of is
Her
literally
entrance
the
look.
hairdress that she wore in the first episode.
Sure. Yeah.
I can't think of like any in
Well,
terms of
color scheme alone, I think of like her entrance look.
But like the
Yeah.
texture of this skirt being like this pleather, and then the frills all the way up here, the nails, the hair is just art. She looks, for lack of a better word, fucking sexy. She looks like haute couture. She looks expensive. She looks like a bad bitch that's about to go fight vampires. And I love that.
She's giving me Rihanna meets Naomi Campbell.
Lesbian
Yes.
vampires in France.
My cup is full.
My cup is overflowing.
My cup's overflowing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, my jaw dropped when I saw that. Paloma.
This is why my cup was full with Soa. Because I love
Of course
this
you
look.
do.
I love this look.
Because it's Haute.
It honestly, yeah. I've studied Haute before, and I'm trying not to make my biases very, very like influential here. But this truly, and the gown mixed with the way that she performed this on the runway is truly something we've never seen on Drag Race. And that's what I appreciate so much about it. The drawing, it dropping from the ground, revealing Paloma, the way she walked, the way that she like acted this look. All of it for me was just absolute perfection. I think this is my favorite look of Paloma's of the entire season.
I'll agree
And
with that.
I understand completely if y'all don't like it.
No, I
But
like it.
this gives, and I understand there's a lot of people online that I've seen that didn't like it. That's why I said that. But this, I love this.
I love this look too. I will say, just spoiler alert. It's not, to me. I don't know why. Like, I feel I personally enjoy Soa's looks better than this, but this was so well executed. I really love how this was presented on the runway. Like you mentioned, Logan. As someone who doesn't like understand Arte or just anyone along those lines, except for maybe Gautier,
Sure.
I still really like this look. I'm not saying it's bad, but I also will say, like, probably like easily like my top 2 favorite looks. It's in my top 2.
I love the headpiece because it's giving Yas Queen sachet to the guillotine. If the French Revolution was gay, Paloma would be the guillotine. I'm trying. My arms really hurt. I'm not going to do that.
Not that.
I can't help that I did dumbbell flies today. Now my titties all sore.
Oh, yeah, don't do that, babe. But I mean, so what's so impactful about Arte, and Paloma got into it a little bit on the runway, is just that like none of his looks were ever created in his lifetime. And like he was such a big fan of fashion, but was never able to like I don't think, again, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he was ever able to like translate that to actual models. Most of it is because of the time period he lived. He lived in the 1920s. Was like when he did the majority of his work. And so he really wasn't able to like translate. And so people finding these looks in the modern day, like Paloma said, I don't think this look has ever been made. And so like that in itself just brings it up for me. Like this
I mean, the first thing I just Googled Arte, and the first thing that pops up is literally this exact look Paloma's wearing, but in black.
Yeah. I love that. My cup is overflowing for Paloma.
My cup is full.
My cup is overflowing. Beach.
This is like the fourth
Also-
on-camera thing I've done today, by the way, like breaking the fourth wall, so I'm just tired.
And also, our fun fact of the day is Haute almost shares a birthday with me.
Ooh.
23rd of November, 24th.
Ooh, period.
Almost 100 years exactly.
Lovely gal.
Lovely gal.
Lovely
Beautiful
gal.
gal, lovely gal.
Very that. So we have a winner of the challenge.
We
And
do.
the winner is... I don't know because I accidentally skipped this part. Oh yeah, it's Paloma.
Paloma. Yeah.
Actually,
So Nikki calls. We didn't. Wait. We didn't talk about the Nikki emotional moment.
oh yes.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. So Paloma is talking with the judges, and then she's like, "Nikki, thank you so much. Like what you did, being third boot on Drag Race season 12." No, I'm kidding. She doesn't say that, but like what you did and like you experiencing Drag Race has made this experience so much more friendly and warm. And I loved that those were the words that Paloma used to describe the experience, because you don't often hear that being used to describe judges on Drag Race. In some cases, it's cut scenes of cussing out judges saying, who the fuck do you think you are to judge me? But I love that. And then Nikki like kind of breaks down and is like, I'm really, really happy that I was able to bring this to my home country. And like, I'm so happy that you all get to experience what I did, even if it was for a short time with that I was on. And I've said this from the start of the season. I'm so happy that Nikki gets to live the Drag Race experience through being the host of this show, because she didn't get to do that on season 12.
Yeah. And we did get a little into it. We did get a little into it at the beginning of this episode, because we spoke how Nikki gave really great, insightful walkthroughs and actually helped everyone feel grounded in the challenge a little bit.
Yeah. I think that really is what spurred this conversation on this specific episode. I mean, we still have 2 more episodes, so like Nikki could turn into a raging bitch of a host. But I love the way that Nikki has hosted this season.
Nikki's been my favorite host.
I think I'm gonna put her second, and the only reason I say that is because Art Aria is my favorite host.
Actually, Supreme is probably my favorite. I would probably put Art third.
That's fair.
Yeah, because I haven't watched Drag Race Thailand yet, it wouldn't be fair for me to put Art Aria in my list. But Supreme and Nikki are definitely in that top 3.
I feel like now that Drag Race Thailand has been like unfortunately canceled for the short term, I feel like once we have a moment where we're not covering 4 seasons of Drag Race at once, I would love to go back and do like a podcast series of like at least season 2 of Thailand, because season 1 actually isn't available on Wow Presents Plus, I don't believe.
It's not. Which is I can't even find it like anywhere online.
Which is unfortunate, because Natalia Pliacam is actually one of my favorite winners. And a lot of that cast is really, really good. But at least season 2, I would love to like go back through and like watch it and talk about it.
I still distinctly remember watching Drag Race Thailand season 1 for the first time, and I believe Morrigan walks in.
Yeah.
And Jar Jar just makes his face where she's like, it's like Burger Queen.
Yeah. I mean, Thailand is like, if you know anything about Thailand, Thailand is just a completely different format. But I still really like it. So anyway, we're talking about France. Nikki, fabulous, beautiful, wonderful. And then we get
brilliant, never before
the question.
Wait, what did you say, Sam?
Talented, brilliant, never before.
Yes.
all that stuff. I don't remember what
Yes.
else was after that.
All of the words to describe
All of the
Nikki.
words.
And then we get the dreaded who should go home and why. I think this spoiler. I think this is the first time that someone has said themselves to go home and they haven't.
Yeah, geez.
Yeah.
I think this is definitively the first time that's happened.
Because Chanel, Scarlet Envy,
Nikki Doll.
Nikki Doll.
Because so everybody's saying who they think should go home, and everybody says Lolita, including Lolita. And I just like I'm watching and I'm like, I'm seeing like it's the emotional buildup. I'm like, Lolita, please don't say yourself. Please don't say yourself. And then she does. And then Nikki's like, don't do that. I did that on my season and I regret it.
Every day.
Like every day. Because I mean, I still think Nikki goes home that episode, but I don't know if she's in the bottom.
Right.
If she doesn't say herself. I think we see a very different trajectory of the season if Nikki Doll doesn't say herself.
Mm.
And that's just my season 12 conspiracy, because I honestly, in my heart of hearts, I don't think they planned for Crystal Method to be a finalist.
But I love that Crystal Method was a finalist.
I love that Crystal Method was a finalist, but I see, side tangent, I see in that challenge, if Nikki doesn't say herself, I honestly see them saving Nikki and Heidi sends Crystal home.
You're the one who wanted to do a fork the pain away number. I wanted to do.
But then again, I think that whole challenge was judged stupidly, and
wait, not even Britta, because Britta was in that bottom 3 with Heidi.
Oh, I thought it was Crystal.
No, Crystal was in the losing group, but
but because she looked like a Polynesian princess.
You're right. I think they put Britta in the bottom, and Heidi sent Britta home 2 episodes before she does.
Or it could. I was gonna say it could be the other way around, but at that point they started getting really good talking heads from Heidi.
I think that song. I think Heidi beats most people to that song.
Yeah.
Kim Petras.
Love that. Anyway,
I love that I just come in and just all the side notes. Anyway, everybody.
I know we were getting through this episode so quickly.
Sorry. Everybody says Lolita, including Lolita, and then she says Bertha, only because Bertha's like, it's okay. I know. Like, you can say my name. It's cool. And then in the Untucked, I just felt so bad for Lolita because they cut to her in confessional and she's like, I want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
no,
simultaneously,
baby,
I'm like, no. But also, like, if you're checked out, you're checked out.
And I was.
That was very
talk about it, but I was just completely shocked that she stayed.
Yeah, let's. I don't think there's anything else really to talk about. I think we can get into.
Yeah,
it.
I think
so.
I think they. I remember just one of the reasons everyone said Lolita was just because they felt the least connected with Lolita.
Which I hate that reasoning. I'm going to be honest.
No, if you want someone to go home, say either they did shit in this challenge, or they're my biggest threat. Send them home.
Because I don't remember specifically. I'm pretty sure Bertha has the worst track record at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lolita's not touched the bottom before.
I was going to say, I don't know if y'all talked about it. Lolita was the only person going into top 5 that had not been, or no, Grande Dame had never lip synced.
Grande Dame hasn't lip synced.
She should have. But that was my revisionist history. Paloma and Grande Dame are the only people that haven't lip synced yet.
No, Paloma has. Paloma has.
I meant La Grande Dame. Again, I get them confused.
Not all white skinny people look the same, Logan. How dare
yes, most
you?
of them do.
One of them is a Ratatouille critic.
Oh yeah, and one of them is just tall. But yes, Paloma wins. The top 2 is Paloma and Soa. I don't understand this. because I don't know what y'all thought about the challenge, but I'm going to be 100% frank. My winner of just the commercial itself was Lolita.
We said the exact same thing.
We literally said that.
Because truly, I was like, because so they show Le Grand Dames, which was not good. And then they show Bertha's, which was not good. And then they show Lolita's. And I turned to my roommate and I'm like, oh, so we know the bottom two. Thinking it was going to be the Great Lady and the Big Bertha. I truly loved Lolita's commercial.
I really love Lolita's commercial too.
We did, yeah, we said this. Like, we really loved Lolita's commercial.
I don't think her runway was bad enough to put her in the bottom two.
No,
I don't think the Grande Dame's runway was good enough to take her out of the bottom two.
And I'm gonna be honest, even if it was just between Paloma and Soa, I would have picked Paloma.
I would have picked Soa.
Paloma bored me. I don't remember anything about her advert.
I didn't understand her advert. I don't remember it. I literally had to look up what her perfume was called to put it on the slide for y'all because I didn't remember. I remembered everybody else's name except for hers.
Paloma's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to look it up because I didn't know what it was.
And then we found out the bottom two. Big Bertha and Lolita Banana.
Figured, given their quote-unquote judging, because they didn't really the only negative thing they said about Le Grand Dames, like they enjoyed Le Grand Dame's commercial, but they were just like, oh, I just wish you weren't in this like kind of butch character, and that we saw more of Le Grand Dame.
Which, like, if you're gonna do that character, cool. I don't mind the character. I don't think there was enough substance, and I didn't really understand the story. Honestly, I didn't really understand anyone's story of the commercial other than Lolita and Soa.
Yeah.
And so, like, if I'm judging based on a commercial, Lolita's was the most succinct. I understood what her story was. I understood what the purpose of the perfume was. And I thought it was the best.
Yeah, I honestly thought, like, to me, it came out of the blue when Alexander was like, oh, Lolita's commercial was the one that moved me the least. I was like, what?
Anyway.
Because she went campy? Like, is the entire reason she was in the bottom because her commercial... Like, the two people that were in the bottom did campy commercials? You could say the same thing about Le Grand Dame.
But if they did want them to do campy, they should have just let them make their own brand instead of giving them these boxes to base their brand on.
Okay, I want to talk. I know y'all talked about it. I'm so sorry to bring it up again. I hated the way that they produced this challenge. I hated the boxes.
Yes.
I hated everything about being confined in this like specific thing that you had to use. I hated that. I wish they had done like everything in your box you have to use in your look. It doesn't matter what the like. And make it more like generic, a la the boxes that they were given for the Who Wore It Best on UK2. Like, I wish they had done that and been like, perfume, whatever you want. But like, use this in like your look or use these things in your commercial. Like, that makes it still specific, but broad enough to where people don't have to like pigeonhole themselves into one specific thing. And like, the moment I saw that, I was like, oh, this whole challenge is going to be rigged. I'm like just not on board. Anyway,
it's the most disappointing episode of Drag Race.
Bertha and Lolita are in the bottom. I agree completely.
The lip sync song is Corpse by
Corpse by Salt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of a more emotional lip sync. Like, I thought of some that come close, and the two that came to mind for me personally was Taste and Cherry Valentine doing Memories. And the other one I thought of was Yara Sofia and Alexis Mateo.
Yeah.
When Yara
breaks down.
Or Rujubi.
Oh, fuck. I forgot about dancing.
Yeah, how could you figure out Rujubi?
I've put Raven out of my entire memory, I'm going to be honest. Dancing on My Own is another great example of this. but I truly like my roommate and I were like fully talking over like the first 10 seconds of the lip sync, and then all of a sudden we both just get like silent, and we sat in silence watching this episode for like basically the rest of the episode. And I clearly talk a lot, and my roommate is also gay and talks a lot. So like it was
The fact that like, I mean, well, Lolita pulls out a razor and
Yeah.
starts shaving her head, and no one thought to pause the music and be like, Diva, what the fuck is going on?
I would assume just because, like, oh, this could be. I assume they were thinking, like, oh, this could just be, like, a bit kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
But I remember before the. Sorry. I remember before the lip sync started, like, Lolita was like, oh, I want to do kind of, like, something cathartic and kind of let a lot of stuff out, whether I go home or not.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact, like, if they paused the music and were like, are you good? And then reset it, they probably would have cut that out of the edit. And then it's like, oh, why are we starting the lip sync? A, with Lolita, like half her costume is ripped off. B, half her hair is shaved off. Like, there's no way to really explain that in the edit. So, like, I think the judges knew that's like, I don't know. I feel like they probably knew that like something was going to happen. And really the only time we've ever seen the music stop is in the case of like Valentina.
Mm-hmm.
But like even with these big emotional moments, like you've never seen the music stop because A, you want to let that person experience whatever emotions they're feeling in that moment. And B, as morose as this sounds, it makes good TV. And so they don't want to cut anything that is good TV. I hate saying that too because this was such a cathartic moment, and I felt weird watching this for Lolita.
Yeah,
But also like, if I'm looking at like the lip sync as the lip sync was, this is one of the best lip syncs I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like it was Bertha. I honestly, it's frustrating. I don't even know what to say. Like this lip sync was just so impactful.
it's something else.
Yeah.
It's truly this transcends Drag Race. This transcends drag. This transcends like everything. Knowing what next week's challenge is, I'm really pissed it wasn't a double save.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is absolute justification to just say, y'all did that. You both stay. Knowing that next week is A, a makeover, and B, a makeover with family. Because you know for damn sure they brought in someone from Bertha's family.
And had
they
them waiting in the hotel.
Literally. So like this was, and I understand also this is the first season. I forget when this was filmed. I wanted to reference Drag Race Italia and the way that they literally did a double save every other fucking episode of their 6-episode season. But I don't know. I wish it had been a double save. If you're gonna give someone the win, I guess Lolita, but also like I don't feel like there was a winner or a loser in this lip sync.
Yeah. I agree.
I don't know if I'm making sense, but like
when they kept Lolita, I gasped. I fully gasped because I thought for the head shaving and like tumbling around in her costume that they were gonna be like give her like a speech from Nikki and then send her on her way. The fact that we lost La Big Bertha here is insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand it from a track record point of view because, like, let's be honest, This was her second time in the bottom. She'd only been high in challenges a few times. Like, as much as I loved her, and I loved her character, and I loved her confessionals, she wasn't doing all that great in the competition itself compared to Lolita, who I think could have had a win at this point. I think
And
Lolita
it could have been
easily
this
could have won.
episode.
It could have been this episode. It should have been this episode. I think she could have won
The last episode as well. The girl groups.
I definitely think she could have won last episode. I think she could have won
the acting challenge.
challenge. Yeah. And like she's been very, very consistently safe or high the whole season, whereas Bertha's track record was all over the place, which I think honestly ultimately the reason why we do lose her here. Again, like I said, I wish it had been a double save, knowing that next week is a family makeover challenge, and just make it a top 4. Like, you can move things around and make it a top 4. Drag Race does it all the time. Again, I don't want to keep referencing Italia and how much of a mess it was, but look at Italia. Like,
Italia just did whatever they wanted.
Italia said, fuck you all. Quite literally, because I think all of the queens have spoken out negatively against Priscilla at this point. So, yeah, I mean, Bertha falls into like the like icon 5th place status.
Yeah.
And I'm sad to see her go here, but I'm happy she was here.
Yeah.
So.
And Lucretia Lubamba remains on the throne as the highest placing bearded queen on Drag Race.
I hate that. I truly do.
But does your heart twerk when you see her?
No. I think she's a perfectly lovely drag queen, but I think because she had the most followers of anybody on that season, she was going to be in the top 4 regardless of how she did, which was not good. From the like 4 episodes that I watched, it's still the only season I've never seen the whole thing.
Lubambinator's rise.
Oh, whatever.
I'm kidding.
Also, not us primary coloring it out today. I just noticed.
Look at us being Power Rangers.
I'm happy being yellow.
I like being red because red's the hot one, usually.
Blue seems very fitting for me in that case, actually.
Sure. Yeah. So we have a top 4.
We do.
You have a sickening top 4.
Also, sorry, I love how, as emotional as Bertha was, I love how the last thing she did was slap her ass and walk off.
I love it.
I really love it. It's a great ass. She has a great ass.
She is very attractive.
She is.
I could have predicted this top 4.
I
maybe would have swapped Lolita for either Cam or Bertha.
Yeah.
But
I didn't
everyone else I saw coming from a mile away.
I love Lolita. I didn't expect her to be in the top 4. I think we know exactly how the rest of the season is going to play out. I don't know spoilers, so this is not something that I know that.
But you know what? We've said that multiple times, and every time we've said that, we've been wrong.
I know.
With the exception of predicting Ellipse's elimination.
Yeah. I don't see a universe where, unless Lolita does better, significantly better than everybody else next week, I see it being a very Cheryl Hole situation where there's it doesn't matter who she's lip syncing against, she's going home. Which is incredibly unfortunate. But at this point, I don't see a universe where Paloma doesn't win the season.
Yeah.
As much as my personal pick, I think, would be Soa, I think what we're gearing up for is we're going to see the Grande Dame get her second win next week. We're probably going to see Soa lip sync against Lolita and send her home. And then that's going to be justification for not giving Soa the crown and giving it to Paloma.
Yeah.
Am I mad if Paloma wins? No. because I think it's justified, because at that point all of them will have had 2 wins. And technically the Grande Dame would have the best track record, which is unfortunate. But as of recent, the person with the best track record doesn't always win Drag Race. So...
And we'll be bringing you an update on that when we cover All Stars.
Well, yeah.
I hate you.
I hate you.
Oh, come on through, hand performance.
Yes. Someone do the outro. I don't want to do it.
So merci beaucoup pour regarder nous on the cup. Like, comment, subscribe, and be the first to hit. And also hit that bell icon so you are the first to get.
And a reminder: don't send hate to French drag queens, because that's punishable by 6 months of jail time or a fine of €7,500. As the Drag Race France Instagram page had to remind people.
Oh wow!
Gag.
Come on, my face is freezing. Press the outro button.
Oh, okay.
Dites-moi tu irais, enfin je saurais où je vais. Maman dit que le péché.
No, not this. I just realized what you were singing.